Normally when we get to go out and drive a new car, we go somewhere sunny and somewhere glamorous like the south of France or the Costa del Sol, but today we've got something just a little bit special lined up because we're here in Vladivostok, Russia, and we're going to take the new Mazda 3 on an epic adventure. Now this car's just arrived from Japan, just a short hop over the Pacific, and we're going to end up taking it to the Frankfurt Motor Show. So we're the first group of journalists and we're going to take it about 1,000 miles and 3 days from here to a place called Blagoveshchensk, and then someone else will take over and take it to the Frankfurt Motor Show from there. So we've got a long way to go, so we should probably get going, shouldn't we? Before we go anywhere though, what we'll do is we'll just reset the trip so we can see how many miles we've done at the end, and also so we can see what kind of fuel economy we're going to get. And that'd be quite interesting because with this car, Mazda's actually decided to not go down the small capacity turbocharged engine route. So it's gone for, in this car, a big 2-litre naturally aspirated engine with 118 brake horsepower. And they say the good thing about those engines is that you can get nearer to the official claimed economy figures. So this engine is supposed to be able to get 55 mpg, so we'll come back to this at the end and see what we do actually end up with. So we've just finished our first drive and we have come about 200 miles and we've just pulled over in this Russian town. I don't exactly know which one, I'm afraid, but I can't really tell you much about how the car is because the roads have just been that bad. We averaged about 25 kilometers an hour just because there's potholes everywhere, and it seems like most of the highways are under construction, so it's been really slow progress. But we have been following a lot of other Mazda 3s, and one thing you can say is that it does look really, really nice. It uses Mazda's Kodo soul of motion design language, so you get everything that you got on the Mazda 6, like those swept back headlights and that big shield grille. If you thought perhaps the Focus was a bit controversial and the Golf maybe a bit boring, well then this is something really, really different to that. And if you want your family hatch with a little bit of aggression, then you could go far worse than getting a new Mazda 3. So the good thing is that the new Mazda 3 is actually a lot more spacious than the old one on the inside. So, I mean, you can see we've pretty much packed it full of our kit, but it's got a roofline which is you've still got just as much headroom as in the old Mazda 3, despite it being a little bit lower. The front seats, you get a little bit more legroom because they're mounted a bit lower as well. So it's all pretty spacious in here, and we have managed to fit 3 of us along here, along with all our camera gear. And you'll see in the boot as well that despite the fact that we've got a full-size spare, we've got a big tank of petrol in there, we have got 3 full-size bags in here. That's a 350-litre boot. And I mean, yeah, we can't do it, but if you wanted, you can fold down the rear seats and then you can get 1,250 litres of boot space. And there is also a saloon version of this car coming, which has 460-litre boot. So if you need more space, there's always that option. Alright, so we just wanted to pull over and give you an idea of the kind of roads that we're driving on at the moment. And as you can see up there, it's pretty normal motorway, and up that way it's pretty normal motorway as well. But then you get to this point in the middle where it's just like a dirt track. It looks like it's been designed by Land Rover's off-road specialists or something, and this happens all the time. So you can be quite happily cruising along at 70 miles an hour, and then without any warning you suddenly get to a bit like this and you've got to slam on the anchors and make sure you take it really, really slowly, because there are, even on the paved bits, there are some really, really big potholes. So I know we complain about our motorways in the UK, but you really won't have any complaints when you come and experience roads like this. So it's the end of day 2 and we've ended up driving from Downachensk to a place called Borobojan, which was about 507 kilometres. And for once there were actually some really nice long sweeping roads along the way, so we got the chance to actually find out what the Mazda 3 is like. And it kind of confirms what I was thinking it was like on the first day, which is that it's a really, really nice car to drive. And you know how something like maybe a Focus or a Golf, everything just feels really nicely weighted and you end up walking away with very few complaints? Well, that's exactly how this car feels. You get a really nice driving position, the steering's really responsive, the pedals are nicely placed, the engine's responsive, the gear shift is positive. So it's all in all, it's just a really nice thing. And it feels, yeah, perhaps a little bit more sporty than it does comfortable, but perhaps that's just these bumpy Russian roads messing with my mind a little bit. So just a few little notes about the Mazda 3 now that we've had a bit of time to drive it, and We actually managed to get on some pretty good roads today, what you'd probably say were more like UK roads. And the ride, I know I said it might be a bit stiff initially, but that was obviously just all the potholes and all the rubbish road surfaces, because it's actually really nice. It's quite nicely damped and it has a nice kind of spring to it, so it means that everything kind of gets levelled out in the way you'd expect it to. The only thing that I wasn't really sure about in the beginning was the engine. At first it seems like it's low powered, but it's not. You just kind of have to be in a gear down from where you would normally be, and then it actually becomes quite involving because you find yourself changing gear more often, trying to find the power. In that sense, I suppose it's a bit like an old school hot hatch, and that is definitely not a bad thing. We've just parked up just ahead of the finish line, so we can give you the final stats. We've covered about 1,000 miles. Fuel economy, which is about 40 miles per gallon compared to 55, so I suppose not too far away from the official, and we've still ended up with an average speed for the whole trip of 30 miles an hour, and that's just because of all the really bad roads that we've been going on. So we've finally made it to Blagoveshchensk, more than 1,000 miles later and 3 days of driving. But you know what, it doesn't even feel that bad in the Mazda 3. It's a really good car, it's really comfortable, refined, fuel efficient, and it's a lot of fun too. The fact that I can step out of a car like this after such a long journey and still want to have another go means it must be a pretty good car.